Welcome to this month's Support Contract Critique for the Computer Consulting Kit Club. This support contract critique originated when one of our club members sent in a request to have the network integration firm's package of support agreements, of service agreements, reviewed and critiqued. It was originally sent in as three separate documents: a gold document, a silver document, and a bronze document. Not that they were printed on in that material or anything like that, but that's how they were positioning the branding, to have three different levels, to have gold be the most prestigious or most premium offering, and bronze be the more basic offering, and silver kind of being the middle of the road offering. In reality, though, when we started looking at what was in the documents themselves, and the offering, and the comparative benefits, and the marketing punch, we discovered there were a number of much more basic issues aside from just hearing that. So in the support contract critique, we are going to talk about some of the differences between gold, silver, and bronze. However, most of this support contract critique is going to focus on overall suggestions and refinements for what we can do to make this support contract more powerful. Now, a couple quick things before we get started. As always, the company logo and location have been removed to protect the innocent. The one thing I should say, though, is this firm is located in the United Kingdom, so some of the English phrasing that you'll see in some of the screenshots are going to be proper British English as opposed to American English or Canadian English. That said, these business problems that you'll see that affect this UK integration firm are almost identical to the kind of problems that you would see if you're located in Canada or anywhere in the United States or Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere else where there's a strong small business IT services economy. In addition, this is not a legal review. You'll see that in the footer down at the bottom of the page. This is not a substitute for legal advice. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV, so be sure to consult a qualified attorney in your local area for professional advice before your support contract document goes out into the field and gets used with your prospects and your customers and clients. That said, what are we going to be talking about? In this support contract critique, we're going to be looking at sales cycle placement, where the support contract would fall within the sales cycle. We'll talk about the comparison matrix between the different levels being missing and why it should be there. We'll talk about how many different options are being offered. We'll talk about the value of streamlining into one document and the pros and cons there. We'll talk about the auto-renewing yearly agreement, as well as some issues with the footer and some things that are missing there that could be added and improve the support agreement tremendously. We'll talk about some of the issues that are discussed in the support agreement with after-hours emergencies. We'll also look at some language and some positioning in here about the unlimited, all-you-can-eat buffet style idea of offering unlimited phone support and unlimited remote support, and the pros and cons of that, and how to address that. We'll talk about how to tighten up some of the language about proactive support, some of the things that tended to be vague in there. We'll talk about how to establish a baseline configuration of what's being supported under the support agreement and some suggestions for improving. We'll talk about some of the issues that are discussed in the support agreement for logging a support case as well as escalating a support case. We'll look at what can be done specifically with how response times are dealt with within the support agreement. We'll also look at the remote support offerings as well as the contingency allowance for things that can go wrong. We'll talk about invoicing practices and procedures that are discussed in the support agreement, as well as termination clause and confidentiality clause. And then we'll wrap up by talking about some big picture business model concerns that we have after looking through this whole support agreement document, and how this goes and how our concerns go way beyond just the support agreement itself and affect the entire business. And then we'll wrap up by looking at a section called costing in the support agreement. And again, this is not a legal review. This is a business development review. This is looking at how you are offering support, how this particular firm is offering support agreements to their prospects, customers, and clients, and what we can do to make that support agreement more compelling, both for the client, for the customer themselves in the small business, as well as your company, to make sure that you make it a win-win proposition and that you don't shortchange your company at the expense of giving the bargain of the century away to your customers and clients. The first issue I want to look at is sales cycle placement. So it's important to know where support contracts fall. And you look here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a table that summarizes the different modules in the Computer Consulting Kit Home Study course. And you'll see the blue module. Module 1 is all about marketing and targeted lead generation, which is where everything should start. The red module, Module 2, is all about qualifying your leads and consultative, results-oriented sales strategies. In other words, getting better at qualifying your leads and getting better at going out on sales calls and staying in control of that process. Step 3, Module 3, the yellow module, is all about virtual IT and major upgrades and rollouts and remediation projects. Step 4, Module 4, the Gold module, is all about service contracts with steady, high-paying clients, and that's where we're going to be talking about where the support agreement falls. And it's important. Why are we talking about the sales cycle placement here? Because I want to make sure that you're doing the right things before you get here. All too often, people go and try to sell service contracts or support agreements to companies that have never done business with their firm before, and that can be a huge mistake because most people, most non-technical small business owners and managers want to try you out on a small project first and gradually ease into it to make sure that it's a good fit for them. And you should be doing the same thing. That's why we call these early projects in Module 2 and Module 3 proving ground projects. It's a mutual proving ground where they're proving themselves to you that they value your expertise and that they're not going to rip you off and that they're reasonable people to work for, and vice versa. You're proving your company to them that you're dependable and reliable, you do what you say you're going to do, that you live up to your estimate, you're on time, you explain things in clear, plain language that they can understand, and that you're a good fit for what their company needs to solve their IT business related problems. So the first major issue here is I want to clarify what's been done with a new prospect or customer before presenting the support agreement. And obviously, you typically would want to have a technology assessment take place, which you can get more details on how to do in Module 2 of the Computer Consulting Kit Home Study course. And you'd want to see a remediation project take place, which you'll learn more about in Module 3 of the Computer Consulting Kit Home Study course. The basic idea is the technology assessment. You go in and you spend a couple hours looking around and identify a whole bunch of things that are wrong and help them decide what needs to be fixed immediately. While the immediate fixes typically become a remediation project, and you're getting them out of kind of third world nation status with their IT infrastructure and fixing some of the burning emergencies before you can move on to talking to them about more strategic upgrades and a long-term support agreement. So you want to make sure that you know where in your sales cycle the support agreement falls. Next issue is we found that the comparison matrix was missing. We talk about something called a rate card. Do you want more of the best, steady, high-paying computer business clients? Then sign up for free, proven computer business tips now at computerbusinesstips.com. Again, that's computerbusinesstips.com.